feature? No feature.
Welcome back to Expedition Extreme. I'm Sean Mayer, and you find us on the east coast of Oman. This show is going to be about finding the hidden, exclusive, beautiful camp spots that the Omani coast has to offer, as well as looking for the best little fishing holes. We're currently just outside of the Wadi Shab area over here. The resort is not too far from us. Where the coastline over here is pretty much full of cliffs, but the drop-off is quite close, so the fishing should be quite good. We're going to do a bit of spotter fishing this morning, and then we're going to head down the coast, and we're going to try and cover the entire east coast for you in the short trip that we have. I hope that we get to Salalah and cover it all the way to Salalah. But as I said, it's a short time, and if the fishing's really good, I'd rather bring you some exciting fishing or what the beaches have to offer versus traveling. So let's see how this goes. Also, in the show, I'm going to be discussing this new installment. We slept in it the first time last night. I have not had such a good evening camping in forever. Absolutely fantastic, but we'll discuss that. We're also going to be discussing, I've got some new shoes for the vehicle. We're going to be discussing 2017 and what 2017 is going to bring, and also some exciting news with some new partners. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy the show. As you can see, the sun's about to peek out. I'm going to get some fishing done, and we'll catch you later during the day.
Absolute beauty of Oman. I mean, we've just pulled off the road. We're not even 5 meters from the road, and the beaches are just spectacular. However, what we're looking for in this trip is not the populated beaches. We're looking for beauty, we're looking for exclusivity, we're looking for off the beaten track completely. But we had to stop here and just have a look at this. I mean, these dhows over here parked off, just such awesome photography. And in season, we've come past here before, and it was a little bit later in the year, but the sardines come up the coastline over here, and it's great to stop and watch the guys wrangling the sardines with their nets and pulling it up onto the beach. I hope as we get closer to Mazera Island, we catch the sardine run over there, and I'll show you that. But, you know, exquisite. The whole east coast is just phenomenal. The drive down, as long as it is, it's never monotonous. Around every corner is something as spectacular as this. Just love this coast. I could spend months traveling this coast. Driving down the east coast of Oman, there's the beach road that hugs the coastline, and this just reminds me so much of the Western Cape, driving up all the way towards Namibia. And if you follow the coast of Namibia, it's pretty much the same as this, except we're on a tar road, and in Namibia you'd be on a gravel track. Absolutely beautiful. The scenery on this route just surprises you around every single bend. And we're just before Wahiba Sands right now, where the dunes are going to meet the coastline, and we're going to go and look for some really good fishing spots over there. I've heard the fishing is great, and look for a campsite for tonight. So this is what we've got to look at for the next probably 200 kilometers. couldn't ask for a better road. Further south we go, the more sandy it becomes. As I mentioned before, driving north from Cape Town to Namibia, it just becomes more and more like that. This is as if we've now crossed the Oranjemund and we've got into Namibia. And if you look behind you to your right, you're going to just see dunes, and to the left, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful desert beaches. Absolutely fantastic drive. We didn't manage to get to see any of the sardines coming out, but we stopped with a local fisherman and bought some sardines for some bait. We're probably going to stop in the next hour or so, set up camp for the evening and do some fishing this afternoon.
This is where we're trying to get to. It seems impossible right now.
Yeah, stuck.
Think you're gonna get out?
I've deflated a little bit. I don't think I've deflated enough, but we should get out.
Well, let's hope. What you gonna do now?
Sand tracks.
Going forward or backwards?
Going out.
I don't mind getting stuck on this beautiful beach.
Yeah, I've been stuck in worse places.
I'm sure. Yay, we out. Keep going. So you're out?
Yeah, come closer so you can hear what I'm saying. Tell you what, sand rails, a lot of people say they're expensive, but I tell you what, worth the investment, definitely. It's the lazy man's way of doing a recovery, because I could have deflated all the way down to 10 psi and then I have to inflate. I deflated to 20 psi and 1, 2, 3, the sand rails get me out, so buy them. Okay, so we've been driving down the coast. We're just before Mazara Island. In fact, in the distance behind me you can see Mazara Island. The beaches that we found so far, phenomenal camping spots, some really, really great camping spots, as you can see in the footage before this. But I think this is the spot where we're going to find most fish. We're looking for rocky areas. This is not the best camp spot in the world, but we're going to wait for the tide to come in now. And I reckon this, with all the coral that's sticking out over here, is going to be great for fishing a bit later this afternoon or this evening. So we're going to stick it out over here and wait for the tide to get in and then see what we can catch tonight. Good morning from a chilly Oman. We're just outside of Mazira, well, the port leading towards Mazira Island. We spent the afternoon at the little fishing hole waiting for the tide to come in, but unfortunately the local fishermen decided that the fishing hole was just as good as we thought it would be and came and strung a net of about 100-150 meters right across the beach. So as the tide was coming in, it would have caught the fish coming in. I'm not a big fan of nets, but since these are local fishing communities over here and their livelihood, basically depends on the fish, you can't stop them from doing that. So as much as I hate the nets, it does feed the community down here. So we decided to move on, and at that point a rather strong onshore sea breeze came up, so we decided to head across the little beach road that heads down the coast and come into the dunes to seek solitude from the frigid little breeze that was blowing and set up camp here. The decision was a wise one from a weather point of view, but I tell you what, this Wahiba Sands is a different kind of dune, and the sand is exceptionally coarse, which then lets a lot of air into the sand and it becomes incredibly soft. We got stuck a number of times looking for a spot, and when I say got stuck in a number of times, I'm talking about a 20-meter stretch where we must have got stuck 10 times, and if it wasn't for the sand rails, we would have been digging for ages and ages and ages. But stuck on a downhill, can you believe it? Actually moving the vehicle on a slope and getting stuck. Dropped my tires all the way down to 11 psi. I do feel though that these new tires, and thinking about it afterwards once we'd got to the camp spot where we are, the difference between the 305 70 16s versus the 285 75 16s, I definitely think it would have made a difference. I think the 305, that's that little wider, would have given me more flotation. I think in a petrol vehicle it doesn't really make much of a difference, but with this vehicle being as heavy as it is, and with the 4.2 diesel not being able to jump out as quick as a petrol motor does, I think that surface area, and I know it's got nothing to do with the width as much as it's got to do with the length of the tire when you deflate, but I haven't battled this much with this truck ever. Now, again, the sand over here is very coarse. When you're driving on it, you can hear the sound that it makes. It's when you come traverse down a very sharp or steep slip face, you can hear the sand rumbling as the sand starts an avalanche effect. Now, that happens when you're driving here as well on the flat surfaces. So the coarseness of the sand is a lot more than it is in the empty quarter, for example. So I think I need to be using these tires a little bit longer to make that absolute definitive, give you that definitive answer whether the 305 and the 285 actually makes that difference in the environment that we're in here in the Middle East. But I think the 305 would have actually assisted me a little bit more than the 285s did. Nonetheless, you know what, it's all part of the fun, and getting stuck 10, 15 times in a 20-meter stretch is soul destroying, but that's what we're here for. That's we're trying to get out here and do what we love and film it and document it so that you can pick up the advice the next time you're here and you're in the same situation that we're at and you want to run away from the stiff sea breeze and jump across one of these dunes and come sit down in a little valley and enjoy the evening. The sand is tough. So, This morning we're going to try and head all the way down to Ras Madraka. We're going to put in some miles on the tar road to try and get down there, and then we will start meandering the coasts on the way back up north. So we've got quite a bit of a trip ahead of us today, and we will hopefully see some beautiful beaches on the way. This road just goes on for miles and miles next to the coast, and I tell you what, being on this road versus being on the interior road that takes you to Salalah, that road is a nightmare. There are cars everywhere. This is quiet and absolutely stunning. Wahiba Sands on the right, ocean on the left, beautiful tarmac. Great drive. So stopping to fill up, to put air in the tires, take in the scenery, absolutely stunning. One thing about the Omani coast, which is really disappointing, stretches of beach, miles and miles and miles of beach. You can get onto the beach over here, drive below the high water mark, and you can actually drive for many kilometers. But you have this. Unfortunately, this is all coming off the ocean. So this is what human beings actually littering into the ocean, and it runs the entire coastline. Yesterday, once you get south of Ras Al Jins and Ras Al Had, the beach, the coastline for the last 300 kilometers has been like this, and it is so disappointing. And I applaud to the Omani government, Oman Tourism. It doesn't take much just to get a tractor that plows through this over here and collects it, leaves the sand behind, it leaves all the animals behind, but it just collects all the big pieces of plastic. Send it to a recycling bin and recycle it. You can make money out of this. But it is an absolute shame. This stretch of beach we're going to be driving down now for as far as it takes us north and south, and we're going to be looking for good fishing spots. But this is not going to be one of those exclusive camping spots that we're going to be showing you. It's a real shame, and I hope somebody has a look at this and does something about it. So behind me is a Omani typical fish market. The guys have just got in with a big catch. The bird life over here is fantastic. There's millions of them, all the way up the coast, all the way down the coast. We're gonna try and get in there. They're pretty sticky when it gets to filming, but I'd love to show you the sardine run that's up and down the coast this time of year, and go and have a look at the sardine catch. But if you're in the region and I can't show you the footage, stop in yourself, go and get yourself some fresh fish, or what we do is we get our bait from these guys. So the sardines are fresh, lovely bait for catching fish. An experience of note. No, how many? One boat? Two boat?
No.
Two boat. Two boat like this. So this is typical, the sardine run that runs through the Oman coast at this point in time. This is two boats haul, and pretty much all nice and full. So fresh sardines, and of nice size as well. And this will go to where now? To Muscat or to Dukum? Muscat. This goes straight to Muscat. So straight into this cooler over here, straight into the van, straight to Muscat. Shame, nothing for Salalah. No good for Salalah, only for Muscat.
No money, no money.
So this is a typical boat that they'll go out with. Two-man crew, and then they'll run the net around the shoal and work as a two-boat team, and then typically pull up either the nets onto the beach by using land cruisers and bring in the haul. So these guys are pretty careful. The park sport is pretty strong and pretty strict over here, so you don't have issues with turtles and dolphins and so on and so forth. Even the sharks get released. So the fishery is well maintained and well regulated, and it seems that this catch over here is a company in Muscat that's purchasing the fish. So well organized. I haven't seen sardine runs like this since I lived in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. Absolutely fantastic. It gives me that feeling of back home, back down the south coast of KZN. Land Cruiser power, eh? The best. Yeah, but Land Cruiser. Nissan no good. Eh?
Nissan no good.
Nissan no good.
Very good.
Land Cruiser good.
Yeah.
Good, eh? Fresh. In part 2, we get stuck. We found a mountain. A crazy German woman on a bicycle. And a hole in the wall. Stay tuned. Remember to subscribe. If it's dusty, drive it.